Hey, we're at the library again. Voice memo for later, episode something. I've got an app. I can look at the app. This is important. You guys need to know what episode it is. How are you going to know without me telling you, other than looking at the title of the episode you're listening to right now after it's uploaded? Well, I'm not going to know. Oh, I've got 50 total plays. Nice. 50 times some poor bastard has pressed play on one of these episodes. Damn. Oh, we're episode 30 now. Episode number 29 was All Y'all Ain't Shit, is what I decided to call that one. I had some shit to talk about, I guess. I don't remember what I said. I hope you guys realize that I don't remember anything that I say on any of these episodes, unless there's like a standout like thought that's been dominating my brain, and then like I remember like, oh yeah, I talked about that on the podcast last time. Like, usually not though. I usually don't remember anything that I've said. It's total amnesia, dude. But yeah, we're back at the library. Oh boy. Yesterday was Sunday, and that was the first Sunday that I was the new host. I'm the new regular host at Joystick for the Sunday mic. I'm going to go ahead and plug that right now. If you're in the Iowa City area and you like comedy, come to Joystick on Sundays. We need you. It was so sad, dude. It was like just a few of us. As far as comics, like literally like 4 of us. And that was it, dude. And then there was like, I think one person showed up after that. Or not like during the mic, still like later into the mic. And by later, I mean after 2 of the 4 of us had gone or whatever, it's like, damn, dude. Yeah, it was, that mic is not doing well on Sundays. And it's like on one hand, it's cool to have the hosting spot. That's like the first place that I went up about a year ago. God, it feels like so much longer. I don't know why, but it's like, it just feels like it's been going for a long time now. Not a long time, but it feels like I've been doing comedy for like 2.5 years, but I've been doing it for just 1 year. But that was the first room I went up in, and it was on a Monday night, which is when the Joystick mic, there's the 2 mics. There's the Thursday one too, which has always been the better mic as far as like a better turnout more consistently. But Monday was like pretty good. And actually from what I heard, I think before I started, Monday was like really good. It was like a solid mic night. And it kind of went downhill a little bit. And now I'm in charge of it on Sundays. Well, it moved to Sundays, and then Brody was doing it for a bit. And then I guess he's taken a step back, and Travis offered it to me, and so I'm doing it. But, dude, it was a bummer. So if you're in the Iowa City area, please come for Sundays. Okay? The only way this can become an awesome mic, and I'm determined to make it awesome. Okay? My goal, and it's a crazy sounding goal right now, but my goal is to make the Sunday mic better than the Thursday mic, okay? Not just to be like decent, but to be better than the Thursday mic, okay? I want to put it to shame. And I don't want to rely on like students being in town, because that's the thing that's like, and Travis was saying like, yeah, it's like the summer's going to suck probably, but like then it'll, pick back up again. It's like, no, we're not, I don't want to hear that talk. We're going to make this a fun mic. No matter who is in town as far as students. We're going to get non-students to come in, dude. It's nothing against the students, but they're flaky as shit, okay? They show up and they leave. Dude, there was a comedy class. There's a stand-up comedy class at Iowa. And if you're part of that class and you're listening to this, I'm not trying to call you guys out personally. It's nothing personal, but damn, dude, they like showed up. Okay, maybe it is I guess maybe it is personal. I don't know. It depends on how you define personal. I'm just commenting on the flakiness, okay, of this group. They showed up and they were there, and to their credit, they were there like every Sunday for a while there. But then their final happened and their classes got out, for the summer, and they're gone, dude. They're not. Maybe they will come back. I don't know. It's not been that long, honestly. Like the finals and shit just happened. Like school just ended recently, so it's like maybe they are going to come back soon. Maybe they'll come back a little later on. They might all be kind of out on vacation right now or visiting family, whatever, and then they'll come back like later in the summer. Maybe they'll come back in the fall. Maybe they'll never come back. I don't know. But yeah, and as far as just regular like audience members, like, yeah, I mean, like when school's going, like in the fall, whenever, like students will show up and stuff. But then, you hit this summer and they're just gone. But hell, even before classes had let out and stuff for the summer, the Sunday night mic was still kind of low turnout for the most part. But I want to turn that around, dude. We're going to turn that around. It might be as like crazy as like, picking like a last seed like sports team to like win everything, It's like, oh man, they like seeded last, but like they're going to win it all. It's like, it might be about as crazy as that. But look, the Cinderella stories do happen in sports, okay? And they can happen in comedy at this local comedy club. I'm going to make it happen, okay? I'm going to be LeBron James. I'm going to like come to this team. They're going to be dog shit. But then by the time I leave, well, they're going to be dog shit again then. But when I'm there, we're going to get to the finals. We're going to... Oh, man, he's still doing it. Speaking of LeBron James, he's... By the way, I'll just go ahead and preface this. This is not... if you're a LeBron hater, I'm sorry, this might not be the podcast for you because I'm a big LeBron fan. He's the greatest to ever do it. He is. You can... Look, there's plenty of arguments that have been made for why he's the greatest. And I think now that he's got the scoring record, especially, like he's probably going to finish. Isn't he going to finish like towards the top of like all major statistical categories probably or something like that? I don't know where he stands with all of it, but I know he has the scoring record. And he's got to be up there, dude. Let's do like, so top points, NBA all-time leaders, stats. Oh no, this is the NBA website. I don't know why, but they suck. You have to go to this like basketball.net or some shit, whatever it is. Oh, basketballreference.com, I think is what this is. Basketball-reference.com. If anyone's typing it out, they're trying to go to the correct site. Well, this is one of them at least anyway, I think. No, I think this is the one I'm thinking of. Anyway, yeah. 30, well, okay, I don't know what the current total is. I don't know how recent this is, but it's as recent as this year, obviously, because it shows him having the scoring record. Yeah, dude, 38,387 points. That was Kareem's record. And now 38,652, LeBron James. And he's still playing, dude. He's like, what is he, 38 now? He's still going. He's in his 20th season, dude. And he's still, like, he's in the Western Conference Finals. Game 1 starts Tuesday. Tomorrow, or today, if you're listening to it when this came out. Because it'll be up tomorrow. That's totally important. But, yeah, dude. That's crazy. Well, okay, yeah, I'm trying to see how I can, like, find the... career. Yeah, that's what I want. I want career, but I don't want necessarily points. Now I want like other categories. I might just have to go back and Google it again because I don't know if they're mobile. It's not good, dude. I know how none of you can see what I'm doing right now. I'm just on my phone. I'm not doing a good job of explaining. I'm just trying to find like assists and all that stuff. Top assists NBA all time. And then like rebounds. Like I'm just going to look at like some of the major categories. I'm curious to see like where he ranks. Yeah, dude, look at that. I say to the people that are listening and have no idea what's going on. Okay, so the assist record is John Stockton, to nobody's surprise, 15,806 assists all time. Yeah, LeBron's fourth on that list, dude. He's fourth on that list too. Chris Paul's ahead of him at 11,501. Jason Kidd is 12,091. Like I said, John Stockton's 15,806 that's the record. LeBron's at 10,420. I'm not sure how many assists he typically gets per year. That would be the thing to look at, I guess, to find out like how likely it is that he gets that record and like, you know, when he would reach it or whatever. The points, the scoring record is the craziest, really. But the fact that he's number 1 in points all time now, and he's number 4 in assists all time, like, damn, dude. So number 1 points, number 4 assists. What's NBA all-time rebound leaders? Here we go. It was suggested. Let me go to my trusty basketballreference.com here. And he might not even be on this list then. That is entirely possible. I don't know going into it. Was looking. I'm not sure where he is. He's 35th all time. But that's okay. So think about that for a second. A lot of these guys, as you can imagine, are going to be like, these aren't necessarily scorers. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously some of the people on this list, like, I mean, Tim Duncan is 7th, you know. Tim Duncan is definitely like a great player all around. But he's not known as a scorer either. Wilt Chamberlain might be one of the, well, yeah, Wilt and Kareem both are like pretty prolific scorers. Obviously, well, you know, having the prior scoring record for Kareem, but yeah, that's like Kareem's got 17,000. Wilt's got the record at 23,924. That's insane, dude. That's so crazy. Oh man. So yeah, I don't think LeBron's gonna hit the rebounding record, but he's got the scoring record and he's 4th all time on assists, dude. That's wild. But yeah, and I mean, I don't even, 4-time champion. He's got all the, the All NBA, the Olympic medals, the whatever, this and that, all the typical stuff, MVP, finals MVPs, he's got a bunch of that shit and stuff. But I'm not a stats guy, dude. I'm not like autistically good at stats, like right off the top of my head, where I'm just like, I would have to look all this shit up. I don't know off the top of my head. That's why I had to look those up even. But anyway, I'm not here to make a GOAT debate here, but I'm just saying, it's crazy that he's in his 20th season and he's still rather like late into the postseason. Like, can you imagine the mileage on one's body doing that for so long? I can't even imagine, like, I'm trying to think, like, when I get to my 20th year doing comedy, I feel like that'll be exhausting. Like, that's not even a physical thing. It's primarily a mental thing. I mean, you are literally standing up on a stage. That's why they call it stand-up comedy. But like, yeah, it doesn't require a lot of physical movement. I mean, it doesn't really require any. You could just sit on the stool if you want. You don't even have to stand up. I mean, there's like, short of comics that are like physical, like they move a lot on stage. Like I'm thinking like early Chris Rock stuff or something where he's like pacing the stage and stuff and all that kind of, whatever. But like, that's like the maximum movement there is just like pacing a stage. That's like, some people do that. And that's like the most that you get physical on a stage. Unless you're going to actually do, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are bits about everything. I'm sure someone has a bit that requires them to do jumping jacks or something. Or push-ups. I don't know. There could be, I'm sure I could find it if I looked. There's a bit about everything that involves any kind of act out you could imagine. And now obviously everyone knows about the stool fucking. That's like a staple of stand-up comedy. Well, I don't know if you call it staple. I think a lot of comedians hate it. They're like, yeah, if everyone fucks the stool, it's so creative. They're like, it's so original. I think, at least the comics around me, I think they hate that shit. But I don't mind it as long as it's funny. That's always been my bar. Is just, what is funny? Is it funny? Like, am I going to laugh? Okay, cool. Then it's good. I don't care about anything else. It's crazy to me that anyone thinks of comedy as anything else. we probably talked about this on the podcast before, probably a couple times. I'm a purist, dude. It's just, if it's funny, I don't care about anything else. That's the gig, dude, is to make people laugh. Like, I mean, obviously there is some comedy out there that will, like, it's a thinker or whatever. It like makes you think about stuff. That is what a thinker is, actually. In case you didn't know that, is if it makes you think. That's why they call it a thinker. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have to be anything deep to me. I mean, you can. I don't know. You know, people look at like George Carlin for like as an example of somebody who had like real like social commentary or whatever. But it's like if you look at Carlin, like his stuff is still just funny though too. Like it's not like it just happens to be. I don't think he set out. I could be wrong. He's not alive anymore, so I can't ask him. But I could be wrong about his approach and like what he was trying to do. But I don't think he was trying to like provide social commentary, dude. I think he was just trying to be funny, and it just happened to be for him the stuff that he found funny and interesting to talk about is like people being stupid in society. Like he just loved critiquing society. That was just his angle. That was his voice. But I don't think that would, like, when I look at myself, right, and like this type of comedy I do, like I don't choose that. It's just what comes to me naturally. It's just the kind of stuff that I'll tend to gravitate towards, right? The stuff that I feel like I'm able to talk about. I mean, dude, if I could pick, like if I could hand pick like the topics that I could make jokes about or whatever, I'm like, okay, what do I want to sound like? I don't think I'd pick what I do. What I do is just what I do, right? I don't know. There's not a lot of, for me, and I think from what I've heard of other people, I don't think people pick their style. I don't think it's something you can really pick. Your style just ends up being what it is, and your voice just ends up being what it is. Like, I think that's the same with a lot of art, though. You're not like consciously setting out to do a specific thing a certain way. You're just trying to express yourself, and then it just comes out a certain way, and then that's just what it is. And then, people will, after the fact, say whatever they want about it. And, it's brilliant because it's this amazing commentary on how men have historically oppressed women in this way. I don't know. I don't care. It's like, is it funny? Okay, that's funny. That's great. Like, it can be as smart as you want it, or it can be as dumb as you want it. And if it's funny, I will always pick the funniest thing as the thing that I like the most and that I hold up on high as like, that's the greatest stuff. Like bar none. Like that is it's not even close, dude. It's just whatever I laugh harder at, whatever I think is the funniest. Like that's what most people think is the funniest. Like that's the stuff that's the best stuff. So like you can have some really dumb comedy. And when I say dumb, I just mean like lowbrow, like, and when I say lowbrow, that's not a judgment from me. It's just like society views this as, quote, lowbrow, right? It's like, it's not lowbrow to me necessarily even. Like, I don't even see that, right? I recognize it in so much that I know what society thinks about stuff. And so I can judge it based on that and be like, I can kind of be like the spokesperson for society, I guess, in that way. And in the sense that like, I know what's going on. I pay attention to the world around me, right? So it's like, I know the way that other people view things, but it's not the way I view it necessarily, right? It's like, if it weren't for society having their standards, or our standards, I guess I should say, I wouldn't know what highbrow and lowbrow is. I don't think I would have ever come up with that distinction on my own without society. I don't think I would have had the thought like, that's really highbrow. Cause I don't know, you raise your brow real high, you think about it and you're like, that's interesting. It's profound. This is lowbrow because it's just stupid. It's the lowest common denominator. It's like, no, I don't think of things that way. I just think of like what's entertaining or what's interesting to me. But I don't care. But like, yeah, that shit's stupid. I first picked up on how dumb that kind of shit is when I was at Iowa getting my English degree. Dude, studying English will show you some real douchebags, dude. And there was some cool stuff, and there was some cool people too. But like, dude, a lot of people that get into that type of stuff, they're unbearable. They are so unbearable, and it's a bummer because like the subject matter itself is incredibly interesting. Like, I love studying like language and like literature and like just diving deep into like things at the sentence level and kind of like trying to like dissect what somebody meant by something they were saying or what they wrote down or whatever. Like, that stuff's cool. But there's a lot of D-bags, dude, that I don't know why I censor myself. Dude, there's a lot of douchebags that just really kind of ruin it. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you can have like a book series or a single book could be that's like, well, obviously it'd have to be a single book because the New York Times bestseller list isn't for series, it's for a specific book, right? It just happens to be that a lot of times, like, at least the kind of books that I'm into that end up making the bestseller list, I mean, they're book series, and it's like a, you know, book number 1 or number 2 made the list, and maybe multiple made the list on it, you know, whatever. But yeah, the New York Times bestseller list, like, you can have a book that makes that list and that like millions of people buy, and it's like this ultra success, and it's like regarded highly by a bunch of fans, right? The fans are like, this is a great book. I love this book. And it, like, in some cases, it changes their lives in some measurable way. It's really cool. Like, reading is awesome. Books are awesome like that. They can influence us so much, and they can show us so much cool stuff. Like, only in a book can you, with no outside stimuli, right? You can just have text on a page. You can just read words on a page, on a piece of paper, and you can feel like you're being transported to another place. Like, I've had reading sessions where I'm sitting there like in my bedroom and I'm just flipping through pages and hours are passing and I have no idea that the hours are passing. I have no clue what time it is, right? I'm just like, I forget the whole world around me and I'm in this other world with these characters. And that's really cool. Like, I to anyone who's actually seriously done a lot of reading, like they'll tell you that this is, it's different from, I feel like it really is different from like a TV show or a movie series or a movie. Not, and it's, I mean, those can be like really engaging and all that stuff too. But a book is, I don't know, somehow a book is different. I think because there's no distractions, because you're forced to like see everything in your head. And so it's like, I don't know, just maybe the level that you have to commit to like suspend your disbelief. It like, once you get in there, it's like you're in deep, you know, it's like it's got its claws in deep, you know. But no, I don't know. Books can make the New York Times list and be super successful. And then these fucking idiots will just be like, yeah, but it's not very good. And it's like, well, what do you mean it's not very good? Yeah, well, you know, it's it's popular, you know, I'll give you that, but you know, it doesn't really, it's not very deep. It doesn't say anything. It's not that original or whatever. It's like, oh, I didn't know you were capable of writing a New York Times bestseller. Why don't you crap one out right now if it's so easy? Like, it's just, and then you'll find that across art, all across everything, right? You know, people will shit on rap. They'll be like, well, it's not real music. Or like, I don't know. People do this, dude. Comedy movies, oh man, it's actually kind of insane. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but comedy movies never get awards, really. Like, they don't win awards. It's always dramas that win awards. And it's like, well, hold on. Are you saying that it doesn't take any talent to make a comedy really good? Like, because of the nature of what an award feels like, it's like, well, it has to be serious, so the subject matter must be serious. It's like, it's just dumb. It's dumb biases that just ruin everything. It's just people being dumb. I don't know, dude. That shit drives me insane. But I don't know. I don't regret going to Iowa and studying that shit, because like I said, it's really interesting. But you do meet a lot of douchebags. But I think that can, I don't know, people being just fucking idiots can actually like influence you for the better. Cause you see like, I don't know, it exposes people. You know, you see a certain side of people and it exposes who they are. And you're like, oh, you're a fraudster. Like you got nothing going on. And when you see enough people exposed as fraudsters, you start to realize, oh, I can do a lot of these things that other people do. You know, it's like I don't know what, sometimes, because I definitely get the feeling sometimes when I'm like on a show with other like way funnier people than me, and I'm like, you know, you feel what's the name of the imposter syndrome? That's what I'm trying to think of. You know, that feeling where you're like, oh, I'm not a real this or that, because like, look at all these other people. They're like so much better. Like they're clearly the funny ones or whatever. And, you know, and it could be with anything, right? And you're like, oh, I'm not that. But it's all bullshit. Like you talk to any of these people that you hold in this high regard, and it's like, they're just people. And they're like, and some of the people are assholes. That's the thing. That's the part that's cool, right? Is you meet people that are like assholes and they're actually not even that talented. Like they're just like, and you find that out because in comedy, you find that out real quick, because you can be like funny for a set. You can have like a set that's funny is like, you know, a 5 to 10 minute set. Okay. And it's funny. Nobody can deny that. But then you see these same people, they'll go up over and over again, and they just won't write much of anything new. And then when they do write new stuff, it's not that funny, which is fine, because when you write new stuff, sometimes it's not funny at first, and then it takes a while, and then you finally figure, you get over the hump, you find a tag that works, and you're like, oh shoot, that's the angle. Sometimes you come up with a tag that changes the whole bit, because you're like, oh, I didn't realize that that's the funnier part, is actually that little element, right? And then you end up like rewriting the whole joke to like center around that angle, and then it turns it from not being funny at all to being like really hilarious. Like that does happen. So it's not, you know, no judgment off the, you know, the first times you try something, it might suck. It probably will suck, but like then they'll keep trying it, and they don't change much with it, so it still sucks. And then like it's just like, oh, so you just wrote 5 minutes that's funny, but you don't have another 5 minutes of anything else, or you don't have 10 minutes, you don't have 20 minutes. You just got 5 minutes of mediocre comedy, and that's really it. Like, okay. You know, it's like, and they get exposed. And yeah, and that's when you see, but when you're new and you first see that, right, you just see that 5 minutes that like works pretty well compared to your stuff. And you're like, oh man, that person's pretty funny. Like I'm not as good as them. And then you realize later, like, oh, I'm definitely as good as them. And like in some cases you're like, oh, actually I'm better than that person at comedy. Like, because I can make other things funny besides that specific 5 minutes, right? It's like I've had jokes that have worked that are not part of the main 5 minutes I do and whatever. And like, and not to, you know, blow my own horn or anything, because I'm not good. I'm not funny. All right. This is not a good advertisement for myself on my own podcast, but I'm not very funny. All right. But I'm not supposed to be funny. I think I've said this before, probably multiple times on the podcast too, but it's true. It bears repeating. I am not supposed to, like, oh man. So I remember a while, like, I don't know, months ago probably. And then we just were talking recently, my friend Muhammad, we're talking about, because we both have had people talk shit behind our back. And the thing is, we're friends. So like we share it with each other when that kind of stuff will happen. Yeah, it's like, you know, we share that information because we're friends. And you know, we don't want to, it feels wrong, right, to not share that with, if you have a friend and they're getting shit on behind their back. Like, I mean, yeah, there's a difference between being like a tattletale and being a good friend, I guess. But just to the extent of at least, you know, being a decent friend of like, yeah, you're not gonna pretend it's not happening. You know, you don't have to get into all the details, especially because it might be shit. Like, you don't want them to. It's like they don't need to hear everything, right? But you're gonna share something. You're gonna let them know it's happening. And if they ask you, like, wait, so did so-and-so say something? Like, you're not going to lie and be like, no, they didn't say anything, right? That's a shitty friend. You're going to say something. So yeah, we've definitely like had those conversations before. And, you know, he gets shit on all the time behind his back because he rubs people the wrong way because he's a very aggressive personality. But he's a good guy. He's a good heart. And that's why there's a reason that I'm friends with him. Okay. He's definitely a good guy. And he's really funny. He's been doing it for like 10 years. I mean, so, you know, I would hope he'd be pretty funny, and he is pretty funny. When he's at his like maximum potential, he has some really good sets. Anywho, yeah, no, he told me a long time ago. I want to say 7 months ago, probably something in that neighborhood, you know, a long time ago, that people were talking shit about me at one point. Not like mad talking shit, like in a personal way, but we're just kind of like, yeah, he needs to learn to write a joke or whatever. Like, he's not very funny. He needs to figure out how to write an actual joke and not just, I don't know, whatever. But the thing that's crazy to me about that is like, so especially back then, right? So let's assume I'm correct. I know it at least was more than 6 months ago, because 6 months ago, Muhammad left to visit family in Pakistan. And then he came back recently from that, but like that was 6 months ago. And I know it was before then, obviously. So it's like, okay, let's just call it 7 months, okay? So 7 months ago, it's May right now. So let's just, you know, April, March, February, January, December, November, October is 7. So yeah, so let's say October of last year then. And that would have been April, May, June, July. Wait, April. I tried to do that too fast. April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So I guess I have been doing it for like 14 months. So that is literally halfway through that time frame. So it was 7 months in. So let's just say it was then, because that's pretty close. So about 7 months in to doing comedy, apparently people were, you know, saying stuff like that. And that's, dude, that's wild. Because I'm like, yeah, no shit, I need to learn how to write a joke. I've been doing it for 7 months, dude. You don't, like, what do you think this is? People don't start into comedy and they're like, oh, yeah, you know what I know how to do is write a joke. It's like, no, you don't. You have to learn that shit. And comedy is one of those things where you can't. I've probably said this before too. I repeat myself a lot, I think. That's a sign I'm getting older. Actually, I saw earlier that I have some gray hairs in my beard now, I think. So that's cool. But no, you don't, like, you can't practice comedy without an audience. This is just not how it works. You need an audience to practice. So it's like, not only do you have to like come up with stuff, but then in order to even see if it's going to work or how it's going to work, it's like, because there's other things too. It's not just the words. It's the way you say them. It's the facial expression you have. It might be need an act out. How good is that act out? Are you committed to that or not? Like, what? Like, how much time do you pause before the punchline? Like, there's so many things that go into it, dude. And so it's like, yeah, of course, 7 months in, that like, I was an infant. Like, I was like, that's like. Dude, that's like criticizing like somebody who started playing basketball, since we were talking about basketball earlier. Let's go back to that. Actually, if you know me, I use basketball all the time for analogies because I don't know. I think it's relatable to a lot of things. I find a way to relate it to a lot of things. But that'd be like criticizing like a 7th grader in basketball, like literally in 7th grade, like they've been playing basketball for like a few years, and they're like, it's like, yeah, that kid, I don't know if he's going to be able to make the NBA. Like, he doesn't know how to dribble that well. It's like, dude, he's in 7th grade, you stupid fuck. Oh my God. Like, of course he doesn't know. Of course he's got to figure that. Like, I don't know. That's crazy to me. It's like, basically because I wasn't a savant, they're like, that dude needs to learn how to write a joke. Yeah, obviously, dude. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. That shit really, it bothered me when I heard that. Because I couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, I'm new. Of course I don't know how to write a joke. How dare you be so fucking like judgmental for no reason? That's crazy. Man, I just clicked my feet together really hard on accident under the table. My bad. I think that was actually picked up by the mic. Yeah, man, it's crazy. But yeah, that just goes to show you, dude. I mean, especially in the world of comedy, but in anything, people are going to judge you over nothing, over absolutely nothing. And people will try to give you advice too. And sometimes it's good advice. And this is another thing me and Muhammad have talked about. By the way, he's going to be on the podcast soon, I think. I hope. We talked about doing a podcast sometime soon. But this is another thing we were talking about the other day is like, it's important to listen to feedback and here's something I believe. I genuinely believe this. I've seen this happen. So I have evidence that it's true, but like, people will give you advice. And sometimes the people that give you the best advice are really are people you would think would give you the best advice, right? They're like, they really know they're really good at what they do. And so you're like, well, yeah, of course they know what they're talking about, right? And sometimes people that give you advice, are like total newbies and you wouldn't even think what they're going to say rings true or is good advice. But like, sometimes that ends up being the best advice. And sometimes it's something in between. Like, you don't know who's going to give you good advice. It's just good to take in critique from anybody and take any of it seriously. And that doesn't mean listen to it like came from the Bible and it's like holy and whatever. I'm just saying, like, take it in and really think about it for a moment, right? And it might only take one moment, right? You think about it for a moment and you're like, yeah, that's stupid. And that's fine. That's a fine reaction to have. But don't dismiss it immediately. Don't be like, yeah, okay, whatever. No, listen and think about it for a second, okay? Maybe think about it for a while. And it might serve you and it might not end up serving you. Maybe it's something that's like practical advice that you're gonna have to try it, and then maybe you'll find out after trying it, like, yeah, that doesn't work. That's stupid. Or maybe it'll really change things. Like, I got advice from Andy Landgraby very early in. I want to say like, well, probably might have been around that same time, like 5 to 7 months in, something like that. I just know I got advice at one point where he basically gave me some advice about timing. My timing was bad. I was like stepping on myself. I was like stepping on punchlines by like trying to like move to the next thing too quickly. And I implemented that advice and I slowed down, and that instantly changed my sets. Like I went from having like, let's say like 30% of my sets went okay to good, and then like the other 70% were pretty much trash. And it immediately flipped it to like at least 50-50, if not more, to like maybe even 60-40, where like 60% of my sets went pretty decently, and then maybe 40% were like trash, or just like I bombed and just wasn't good. I'm like, but that was like, I'm not even kidding, that was instant. It literally was like instant game changer for me. I implemented it starting the next set. Like, I tried to slow down that very next time I went up, and it already made a huge difference. And it's, to this day, it still has served me well. Now, sometimes I slow down too much now, almost. But it's better than going too fast, I think. Because when you slow down, you can find a little reaction from someone. You can think for a beat longer. You might come up with like an improv thing in the moment to try. So it's definitely, it almost can't hurt to go really slow at an open mic when you're trying new things and whatever, because it just gives you more time while you're on stage to like figure something else out maybe. And then for the show, when you're really trying to like dial it in, you've got something you've been working on for a while, you might need to go quicker, or you might need to change it up a little bit. Like, you have to adjust things, but it's super helpful, I definitely think, to go slower. Even if you think you're going too slow, it might not be that you're going too slow. Because when you're on stage, everything feels like forever, right? Just like the smallest pause between like you setting something up and then delivering the punchline, it feels like an eternity. You're just like, man, have I been up here for a day? Oh, no, I've only been up here for 1 minute. Oh, okay. It feels like I've been up here for a while. Like, it's just, everything is just lengthened so much. Like, there's a pause of like 5 seconds, and it'll feel like they paused for a minute. It's like, oh man, they haven't laughed for a minute. It's like, no, dude, they didn't laugh for 5 seconds. Like, that's okay. That's not, you don't need to be getting a laugh every 5 seconds. Like, Now, are there people that get laughs about every 5 to 10 seconds? Like, for sure, that does happen. Those people are straight up murderers. They're incredible at comedy. They've probably been doing it for decades, or at least a decade or more. Yeah. I don't really think I have anything else to say. Yeah, just trust people, but be ready to throw them in the garbage, okay? Like, what's that phrase? Trust but verify, okay? That's how you should go through life. That's going to be the episode title, Trust but Verify. Okay, there's some real shitheads out there, some backstabbers. But that's everything. All right. You guys have a good day. We'll be back next week. All right, peace.